Middle of the night, somewhere in Kabul, late 2000s, a rocket-propelled grenade fired by the Taliban downs an American Sikorsky chopper near to where the Afghanistan cricket team's all-rounder Mirwaiz Ashraf slept. Next morning, when he enters the cricket ground for a practice session, he is horrified to see the destroyed chopper lying in a crater bang in the middle of the field. Damn it, when can we ever play cricket in peace? This was no isolated incident. Ever since the US invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, Afghan cricketers have been playing in fear, taking cover every time bombs fall near the stadium or when they hear the shrill sounds of bullets firing nearby. There have been times when small explosions rocked the stadium when a game was in progress, wounding spectators and even players who would then be sent for medical help while the area gets cleaned up. Yet, after this brief halt, the bloody match restarts.
चलो चलो खेलना शुरू करो, ऐसा तो होते रहता है.
Even on the death of family members in drone attacks or during interscene warfare, the passion of the players is such that after burying their dead, they pack the heavy kit bags, shoulders laden with sorrow, and go on for training. This endurance is what made Afghan cricketer Rashid Khan ICC's T20 International Player of the Decade. From being bagged for 4 crores by Sunrisers Hyderabad in 2017 to now having a 15 crore packet with the Gujarat Titans, almost at par with Indian cricketing superstars of the IPL, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. He is not alone. Many other Afghan cricketers ply their trade successfully in a plethora of T20 leagues around the world. They even fought like street fighter underdogs in their spectacular performance in the 2023 ODI World Cup, beating 3 former world champions. So how did Afghan cricket reach such heights? Before we tell you that story, subscribe to Bisbo, like, share and do comment. The only cricket the Afghans ever saw was when the British played there during the Anglo-Afghan wars of the mid-19th century, though the locals, unlike the Indians, never took to the sport. But as refugees in Pakistan, fleeing the Soviet invasion of 1979, ये पाकिस्तान के अगले मियादाद ने मारा लंबा छक्का. Young Afghan refugees watch a group of Pakistani boys playing cricket, fascinated by the battle between bat and ball, but they keep their distance because the local Pakistani boys didn't like them and used to taunt,
फिर आ गए मुहाजिर, दफा हो जाओ.
So the sidelined Afghanis formed their own teams, playing once the locals left for the day, running barefoot on hot baking surfaces in 45 degrees heat. When their fathers found out about it, the kids would get scolded.
You have become useless, wasters. Go work a job and earn some money.
Life in the camps was harsh. There was no clean running water and so much poverty that food was also hard to come by. So they worked in a match factory at night and played cricket during daytime. Nothing could stop them playing the sport. Things changed when one Taj Maluk, also a refugee, came by to their camps in Kachakara and arranged makeshift equipment for them to play with. A keen eye, he scouted for talented boys among various refugee camps and formed teams. At first, the ragtag bunch challenged various local Pakistani Maidan teams. But as the number of Afghan teams grew, they established an Afghan cricket club, who was soon invited to play against the more formidable Peshawar cricket clubs. When Taj saw Imran Khan lift the 1992 World Cup trophy on television, he too dreamt, one day even Afghanistan's team will take part in the World Cup. But first, he had to establish a proper cricketing body, and the chance came once he returned to his country in 1995 after the Soviet army had left. He collaborated with one Allah Dad Nuri to form the Afghanistan Cricket Board, making themselves the first office bearers. However, in about a year's time, Taliban warlords took control of the country, which led to another exodus of refugees, among whom were the cricket team as well, who were forced to play in Pakistan's Grade 2 domestic competition for the next 4 years. But in 2000, Taliban lifted the ban on cricket, probably because most players are from the same Pashtun community as them. Obviously on condition that the players follow Sharia law by keeping a beard, praying on time and wearing full covering modest cricket clothes. But the infrastructure back home was zero and they were back to playing on dusty fields full of pebbles and stones. The National Cricket Academy they were able to start had just 4 practice nets in such a cramped area that it could have been a backyard of a bungalow in any first world country, where fielding practice was done by diving on mattresses so that the players don't get injured. Despite this, coach Taj Malok kept working passionately with the team for the next 7 to 8 years till 2008, where under him, the team tasted success at the Asian level. In 2003, became associate members of the ACC. In 2006, reached the semis of the ACC trophy for small teams, and the next year were joint winners of the inaugural ACC 2020 Cup for small teams. The first real battle came when the Afghans collapsed to 42-7, chasing Jersey Islands 80 in the 2007 World Cricket League's Division 5. At that moment, all the learning from their struggles helped them keep their nerves and cross the finish line. They kept impressing, remaining unbeaten in the ICC World Cricket League Division 4 in Tanzania and then winning the ICC Division 3 in Argentina as well. The team got a hero's welcome with an open bus victory parade back home as happy masses lined the street, some shooting machine guns into the air. This was the first time the Afghan team had travelled to the West and were in for a culture shock. Some were awestruck by the fast bike and short skirts, while others were repelled by it on religious grounds. However, their international journey made rapid strides after this. In 2008, becoming ICC's affiliate member and achieving ODI status the next year. In 2010, they qualified for their first T20 World Cup, and in 2012 played their first ODI against Pakistan, after which they were promoted from affiliate to associate membership. Belief in their capability led captain Asghar Afghan to lay a challenge with his board in 2015. If we win the series against Zimbabwe, you will increase our match fees. The audaciousness of it made the officials laugh.
But you couldn't even beat smaller teams like UAE or Hong Kong.
A determined Asghar led his team to victory and even qualified the team for their first ever 2015 ODI World Cup. So the Afghan Cricket Board chairman Nasimullah Danish happily ate his own words. At that time, Afghan players were getting just $50 to play a T20 international and $75 for an ODI. This was increased 20 times to $1,000 and $2,000 respectively. Around this time, another player who had grown up as a toddler in those refugee camps of Pakistan was bowling fast leg spinners with a taped tennis ball on concrete strips in a parking lot inside his housing compound. He soon graduated to prodigiously hitting big sixes in provincial matches in Afghanistan, making his international debut at just 17 years of age in 2015, and it was none other than Rashid Khan who would go on to make a name for himself. All this while, the Afghan team had made Sharjah Cricket Stadium as their first home base since 2010. Afghanistan did build its first international cricket stadium in 2011, but the security situation and lack of resources led them to train at Lahore's Gaddafi Stadium and in turn gain experience in Pakistan's domestic tournaments. But it was BCCI that really helped them in 2015 when they gave the Afghans 3 home grounds in India for 5 years. India has been helping Afghanistan since the last 2 decades and has already provided them with $3 billion worth of aid for development. The cold weather of Uttarakhand's mountains, one of their bases, best suited them, being similar to the weather in Kandahar and Jalalabad. The players were made to feel completely at home and special care was given to the fasting cricketers during the month of Ramadan. ICC, India and Pakistan's combined assistance also got them a bevy of high-profile international coaches. Finally, in 2017, Afghanistan became eligible to play Test cricket when they were given full member status by the ICC. Then, in another cruel twist in their journey, the US pulled out its forces from Afghanistan in 2021 and the Taliban took over the reins once again. All women's sport was banned and most of the women's cricket team fled to Australia. As an act of punishment, Australia's men's team refused to play a bilateral series against the Afghans. However, the Pashtun Haqqani network are all cricket enthusiasts and let the men's team continue to play the game. In fact, in the winter season when violence is less, Taliban fighters keep their Kalashnikovs aside and play cricket for a change, even joining in to celebrate their team's victory over Pakistan in the 2023 ODI World Cup, the first time they ever beat them in that format. Afghanis danced in the streets and celebrated with lavish meals. A victory made more satisfying because it felt like revenge against Pakistan's recent decision to send back 1.7 million undocumented Afghan refugees. Most players in the current Afghan team, though, haven't suffered as refugees. Gurbaz has struggled as a poor cattle farmer, and Faruqi was a labourer who built mud walls. But they now earn good money from T20 leagues, with bigwigs Rashid and Nabi settled in Dubai, and hopefully others will be able to emulate them. The UAE also serves as their new home base in a new 5-year deal, where 24 players and officials have been granted residency visas. Back home, grassroots infrastructure and 5 stadiums are being built, plus a high-performance center in Kabul where beginners can train. From not playing cricket, Afghanistan now has as many as 5,000 clubs from 34 provinces that play tournaments from June to September. While earlier, the game was mostly played by the majority Pashtun community, now Tajiks, Hazaras and Uzbeks are also joining in, albeit in small numbers. Afghanistan should be wary of going the route of teams like Zimbabwe and Kenya, who also showed initial spark but faded out due to the tough political climate in their countries. Hopefully, this 3-match T20 series against India will be the start of many such against big teams. Do they stand any chance against the mighty men in blue? Bisbo's Limerick. Little Afghani kids in refugee camps saw a game being played by some local chaps. They saw in awe, then hit a 4 and came out swinging like cricket champs. You will also find these sources listed in our video description section.